Download this code and get free GPT-4o from codegive.com, link in the description below. Setting up a Java test server can be an essential part of software development, especially for testing APIs or web applications. In this tutorial, we will create a simple Java test server using the popular framework Spring Boot. Spring Boot simplifies the setup and configuration of new Spring applications, making it a great choice for creating a test server. ### prerequisites. Before you begin, ensure you have the following installed. Java Development Kit, JDK, version 8 or higher. Maven, a build automation tool used primarily for Java projects. IDE, an integrated development environment like IntelliJ IDEA, Eclipse, or VS Code. ### Step 1, create a new Spring Boot project. You can create a new Spring Boot project using the Spring initializr. 1. Go to Spring initializr, https://start.spring.io. 2. Choose the following options. Project, Maven project. Language, Java. Spring Boot, 2.x.x, latest stable version. Project metadata. Group, COM example. Artifact, test server. Name, test server. Package name, COM example.test server. Packaging, jar. Java, 11 or higher. 3. Add the following dependencies. Spring Web. Spring Boot Dev Tools, optional, for development convenience. 4. Click on the Generate button to download the project as a zip file. 5. Extract the zip file and open it in your favorite IDE. ### Step 2, create a simple REST controller. In your project, navigate to src/main/java/com/example/test server and create a new class named testcontroller.java. ### Step 3, run the application. You can run your application using Maven. Open a terminal, navigate to your project directory, and execute the following command. This command will compile the project and start the Spring Boot application. By default, the application runs on http://localhost 8080. ### Step 4, testing the server. Once your server is running, you can test it using a web browser or tools like curl or Postman. 1. Using a web browser, open your browser and navigate to. You should see a response like. 2. Using curl, open a terminal and run. 3. Using Postman, create a new GET request to. ### Step 5, adding more endpoints. You can extend the functionality by adding more endpoints. For example, let's create a simple endpoint to return a list of items. Add the following method in the testcontroller.java class. Now, restart your application and test the new endpoint. Using a web browser or Postman. ### Step 6, testing the server with unit tests. Spring Boot supports testing with JUnit and Mockito. Here's a simple example of how to write a unit test for the test controller. Create a new test class testcontroller.test.java under src/test/java/com/example/test server. ### Conclusion. You have successfully created a simple Java test server using Spring Boot. You learned how to create RESTful endpoints, test the server, and even wrote unit tests for your controller. This setup can be expanded with more complex logic, database connections, and additional services as needed. ### Further resources. Spring Boot documentation, https://spring.io/projects/spring-boot RESTful Web Services with Spring, https://spring.io/guide/tutorials/rest-with-spring. JUnit 5 Documentation, https://junit5/docs/current/user-guide. Feel free to customize your test server as per your application's needs.